Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today's project is, well, what? You thought that's our previous iPad? No, that's a new iPad, which is almost exactly the same as the one we already repaired for the battery. That's the first generation iPad, and I just bought it from eBay. I mean, I couldn't pass up, even though it's old, but like $5, really? Like for something which is almost entirely working. The screen is on. Let me show you. Nothing is cracked. Touch is working. Almost everything is working. But there's one thing which is not working, and that's what we're going to try to fix today, and that is a home button. As you can see, okay, we can go, let's say, settings, and then I press the home button, nothing. That's why I have this virtual home button here, which I click there, then it works. So in all likelihood, something very simple here. I don't, the construction here is very simple. I mean, I can hear it clicking, so I don't think anything is lodged sort of in between the button itself and microswitch underneath. So there's a microswitch on the board, the small board for the home button, which literally just shorts two contacts together, and that goes straight to the motherboard. So I don't expect motherboard to be broken because, I mean, everything else seems to be working. I mean, it's possible, but very unlikely. So I expect it's a micro switch or something else is in this tiny board, which I have a replacement for. So I will show it in more detail later when we get there. So, but unfortunately, we still need to open it up. So it's not glued, but will require some finagling as usual. So let's get to it. All right, and this part is already out. That's went much easier the second time around, and I'm disassembling it. All right, and these are the clips what I was talking about that are getting broken as we do it, which is perfectly fine. I have a whole bunch of them now as a replacement, and I think we are mostly done. Let me just see. All right, and yep, we are done. As in releasing the screen, but now we need to disconnect our cables. Okay, I think it looks a little bit different. This is not a 3G model unlike the other one. So no SIM card slot here. All right, so let cable disconnect. So that's display cable decaped. Right, that one. Now the display cable. Latch is open. Okay, that's good now. Oops. All right, so we lifted the bracket here, and now should be able just to pull out the display cable. Yep. Let's see if we're missing anything. Nope. Screen is out. Perfect. All right, and let me show you the. Okay, let's remove that for now. So that is the back side of that's a home button. And there's a microswitch underneath, which literally shorts this to pads. And let's see if it's actually doing that. So here's our meter. Let's put continuity mode. Just double check. Okay, yep, that works. So right now, no continuity is supposed to be, the button is not pressed, but if we actually, I'm pressing it, that should actually do that. Let's see if I can do it with. Yep. Well, actually, it seems to be working. Interesting. Yep, so I'm pressing the button, and so that's not a problem then. Okay. Interesting. So what's supposed to be happening, so these two pins, that's really hard to see from here, I think. So that's the two, that's these two pins that are touching the home button assembly that we just checked. And if they actually make any contact, which is a big if, this should be shorted and the motherboard should get that home button press. So what we can do is, what I have tried before, how to simulate the home button without completely assembling the screen, is we'll attach the screen partially, as in without locking the case, and then I'll just try to directly short these two pins, and we'll see if it actually that does the home button press. Because if not, well, the disassembly could be bad, because that's where. Okay, so let's try that first. Okay, so I connected the screen without locking the shell, and let's just try it out. And I will be using this to just, let me see if I can show you it without operating this. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the idea is I will be shorting just like that. And as you can see, it's actually already working. So, but let's try that again. Yeah, besides I'm gonna, so I need to unlock. Okay, it's unlocked. And let's see, we go again to the settings. And now you see it's in the settings. And now I'm simulating the shortening of these two pins. And boom, that's the home button right there. So I think the easiest explanation is that there's just not a good contact in between the pads and the pins. So let's see if I can clean them up and if that's going to help. Okay, so I actually try to do half assembly of the screen back just to make sure that the part of the bottom shell is actually in. You can see like that, but not the top part, so I don't want to lock the whole thing in. So, but look at that. If I press it, boom, now it's working. Yep. So all I did is literally open the screen. That's unfortunate. That's a bit more work than it was needed to. Put it back and it seems to be working. So I think it's literally like maybe a little bit of oxidation or something in between the pads and the pins. I'll clean it up with a little bit of alcohol and reassemble it back because now it seems to be working. Yeah. And I didn't even need to install the replacement home button microswitch. Nice. All right, so let me clean this up and we'll get back to the assembly. All right, and here are our pads. I took the screen out again. So just add a few drops of alcohol, the Q-tip, and we'll just clean it up. There's another thing that actually might be slightly more likely, in fact, to be an issue, because I don't really see any corrosion here. I mean, it looks pretty good to me. Yeah, even without cleaning it was, yeah. The pins, they're right here, that we were shorting, oops. They're actually spring loaded. It would be kind of hard to show, but basically you can press on them. And it's possible that these springs got stuck or something, so basically pin didn't make a contact with the pad, well, one of them or both of them at all. Interesting enough that like a whack at the back of the case would have helped and resolved the issue, but hey, I thought that it's a microswitch, so went straight to disassembly, but you know, whacking things up sometimes works. Well, I don't know if that would have worked, but that certainly could have resolved the issue. All right, then let me just brush the tips of the pins just in case. All right. And now we'll need to reassemble it, but before we go that, we'll need to replace our clips that we broke, like a whole bunch around them, and we'll get to that in a second. All right, now I took the screen back off, and that's where the clips would go. Have a whole bunch of new clips. That's how they look like. So basically the profile is like that. And we'll need to install them. I'll show you how to do it on one. Okay, so for instance, this one is broken. Yeah, you can see that's the back, the bottom is there, but the lip is not. It's completely turn off, and that's how most of them are. If you disassemble it quickly. Okay, so you take out the screw. And the broken part is out. So now let's put a new one. Just make sure that we're putting it the correct side. So, right, so that's the correct side where the lip is facing, well, up the screen or down when the screen is face down. So like so, it will go like that. And there are two guiding pins there. It's in place, and now we can put back our screw. Alright, and that's one clip. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. I'm here installed. And I only need to do it, well, a few more times. Alright, so it's done. All the clips are in place. You can see all the way from here to here and even here. So only two original ones left, so everything else I replaced. You can see they're slightly different color. So these ones are the only ones who, well, the only ones that survived the opening, but yeah, they're very cheap. Well, you don't need them anymore nowadays. Most of the devices today just use glue, but yeah. All right, so time to put it all back in together and hopefully that will still work, because reopening it again would suck. Okay, final check at least with the all right, everything seems to be fine, so let's just close it off. And the idea is basically we now with that this side with the tabs is in. Yeah, now it's in. For the rest, we should just push it in and it should just clip in. Well, here goes nothing. And that's it. clipped in. Yep, screen is flat, nothing is sticking. All right, so now let's do the same exercise we did before. All right, so screen works, touch works. How about that home button? And voila, it works. Nice. And now we can remove the assistive. Where is this accessibility? Assistive touch. Off. We don't need that anymore, I think. Yep, it was working. Perfect. Yeah, not sure why it wasn't working, but most likelihood it's just a contact thing, either on the pads, between pads and the pins, or the pins stuck in the lowered position and not touching the pads. So yeah, I mean, like if you have to replace the home button assembly, well, home switch assembly, I guess home button microswitch assembly. Yeah, it's basically 2 screws. You take it out, you put this microboard in, and that's it. But it actually was fine all the way. So if you like this content, please like. I don't know. So if you like this content, please click like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you like that, if you didn't like that, if you like to see something else or more of the same, and if it inspired you to do something on your own. And with that, I'll see you next time.